Let me first start by saying good evening to everyone. Thank you for taking time out this evening to join us. I see you waving at me. I can't see everybody. To join us for our virtual class of 22, our junior class student and family night. We know that we did not anticipate having to start our year out remote with remote learning. But I do want to first say thank you to all of the parents and guardians who are on the meeting with us this evening. Thank you for your patience and your flexibility as we have all been moving forward with learning, teaching, and leading this year. This is certainly one of those pivotal moments in your students' high school career where they are trying to make sure that they're setting themselves up to be ready for whatever they're choosing outside of Granville Central High School, whether it's college, career, or military. And so we want to make sure that you have all the information that you need as they continue to matriculate through their years here at Granville Central High School so that they can make an informed choice. I do want to encourage all students while they're on the line this evening. Students, please listen to me very carefully. I need you to realize that we are in our 6th week of our first 9 weeks grading period, and I need you to make sure that you are passing all of your classes. Make sure that you're turning in all of your work. Of course, Miss Allen is expecting great things from you, so please make sure that you're doing what you need to do to be successful in the classroom. And then parents and guardians, please do all that you can at home. We appreciate all that you are doing to help support your young person with their coursework here. Remember that on Wednesdays, we do have what we call Remote Learning Day on Wednesday, and students are expected to complete the question of the day as well as the assignments that the teachers have posted so they are prepared for their live virtual session on Thursday. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us. We're here to help you and assist you, and we thank you for being with us this evening. I'm going to lend way to one of our assistant principals that is on the call with us this evening, Mrs. Kelly Hellner, who is in charge of curriculum and instruction. Mrs. Hellner, if you want to say hello to everybody this evening.
Hi guys, I'm happy to see you again. I think we kind of talked generally about what I do and how I can help you when we talked about our big junior meeting. But just to remind you that I handle curriculum and instruction, which means if we test it, it's probably me. ACT that you will be taking this year goes through me. So all of you get ready and prepare because we will be taking the ACT in February.
And our other assistant principal, Mr. Waddy, is not with us this evening, but parents and students, you all know Mr. Waddy. And so if you need anything, please call the school and he will be more than happy to assist you. So school counseling department, we're going to turn our class of 2020 student and family nights over to you, Ms. Breaker and Mrs. Bierman.
All right, Mrs. Bierman will start first. We can go to the next slide. We'll talk about graduation requirements.
Okay, guys, so I think this is probably not going to be news to many of you, but just so everyone's clear, up on the screen right now are all the classes that you have to graduate from a public school in North Carolina. The 4 Englishes, 4 credits in math, 3 science, 4 social studies, and of course the health and PE. Most of you passed that your freshman year. Also 12 electives for a total of 28 credits. So the one thing I like to say in here is the math gets a little complicated sometimes because most of our students have taken foundations, which does count as a math credit. Sometimes when people transfer from a private school or an out-of-state school, they don't have foundations, but foundations can count as one of your math credits, but you do have to have 4. So if you want to go to apply straight to a 4-year college or university, though, you have to have a 4th level math, a math beyond the level of math 3, like math 4 or pre-cal, something like that. You also have to have 2 levels of a foreign language if you plan to apply to a 4-year college. So the next thing we're going to talk about is CCRG, Career and College Ready Graduates. So basically, this all came about as a response to some legislation. Basically, what they found out was that a lot of students were graduating from high school and getting to the community college, but were not really prepared. A lot of students have to start out in the remedial classes, and it kind of puts you behind and kind of places some barriers in your way. So basically, this legislation is intended to take that curriculum from the remedial classes and put it back into high school so that students have already completed it by the time they graduate. So students whose GPAs fall between 2.2 and 2.799, so if you have a 2.8, you will be exempt, but anywhere between 2.2 and 2.799, you will be required to complete the modules that are part of the CCRG. So it's going to be integrated into English 4 for the English part, and we're still kind of working on exactly how it's going to look for math, but that will be, so that's just something to keep in mind if your GPA falls in that range, that is going to be something that you will be expected to complete next year. So if your GPA falls in that range, there are some exemptions. So it's got a chart there that tells you how well you have to do on a certain test to be exempt. And if there's any parents of an occupational course of study student, those students will not be expected to complete CCRG. But those are the SAT scores that will exempt you from CCRG. I think there's another page. Yeah, AP scores. We don't have IB or the other one at our particular school, but those are the scores that you could have that could potentially exempt you from having to complete the CCRG modules, even if your GPA falls in that range.
Ms. Hellner?
So AP testing, many of you are already enrolled in AP courses. If you are, I highly recommend that you take the AP exam. There's no charge for you to take the AP exam. Parents, just so you're aware, there is no charge to take the AP exam. It is given during the school day. And most of the UNC system schools, I think all of them actually, all 16 of them, now accept a 3, 4, or a 5 for college credit. In prior years, you only had to get a 4 or a 5 to get college credit. They now are accepting 3s as well. There's really no downside to taking the AP exam. It doesn't affect your grade. It is just a way for you to prove that you know enough to be able to get that college credit for the AP course that you took.
All right, so the junior haiku page has been set up for you guys. Ms. Allen, could you click on that link? Is it linked? Please tell me it's linked.
Okay, you have to give me a second.
Okay. But the junior haiku page, while she's going to the link, it is designed to have information that is that pertains specifically to your grade level. And so there are a ton of resources in there, including announcements. There's also a parent corner. There's also information regarding teacher office hours, applying to college, if you're planning to go into the workforce, how to search for careers, or what careers may be of interest to you. So there are a ton of resources in there, and I just want to make sure that everyone has, one, visited the junior class page, but then also that you know how to access it. And so there are a couple of ways that you can access it. Students, it should be showing up in your haiku as a class. So it's a junior class journal. Parents, if you go to the website, to the school's website, under programs and services, you'll see counseling department links, and then you'll see a link specifically for the junior class page. So those are the 2 ways you can access it. Yes.
If you hold on just a second, I'll pull up the website.
Okay.
My computer is moving a little slow, so the joys of technology.
Yeah. Trying to think, what else does that page have on it? So there's quite a bit, but we're going to go to it. So like I said, from the school's website, you would go to programs and services. When it pops up, you'll see it.
It's really moving slow. I'm going to just stop share for a minute to see if that'll help it to load quicker.
Let's see it. Let me see if I can. Let me see if I can share
Okay.
because I'm in the. All right. Clearly, we have issues with technology here. Hmm. Hold on. Thought I was going to have more success.
Okay, I think mine's up now.
Okay. Thank you guys for being so patient. All right, so there it is, program and services at the very top. So once you click on that, it'll bring you to this page, which would say, it'll say counseling department links. Look, oh.
It is moving extremely slow this evening. Okay, here we are, counseling department.
Yep, so you click on that. And then this is so funny.
Mhm.
And there it is, junior class journal. So that's what you would click on. So if you haven't been to that page, please make sure you go to that page. Like I said, parents, there is a page, there's a parent corner where if you want to schedule an appointment with one of the counselors or the college advisor, or if you want to refer your student to see the counselor, you may do that there. So these are all the different links. The announcements, if you have not already joined the Remind group, then please make sure you do that. But the announcements, when you click on it, it'll show you everything that's coming up. And see, there's the junior family night announcement, the information about the Remind group. And then on the right-hand side, you'll see any activities that are pertaining to your grade level. And we try to update it as often as possible. But, you know, just make sure you try and check it at least once a week, just to see if something has been updated. But typically, you should get an email that says that there's been an update to this page. All right.
Okay.
So we can go back to the presentation. The next is going to be post-secondary options. And so while she's pulling it up, I'm going to keep going. So there are 3 post-secondary options: military, workforce, and college and university. And so when we talk about the military, you want to make sure that you determine which branch and option is the best for you. So you would want to talk to more than one branch, obviously, to figure that part out. But there's also a military fair every year. And this year, the military fair will be November 10th. So it's the day before Veterans Day. But you can talk with a number of recruiters there at that time. You can also take the ASVAB. I'm not, Miss Helena, are we offering the ASVAB this year?
We haven't made a decision yet.
Okay. So once we make that decision, then you guys will definitely be informed if we're going to do the ASVAB. But just, it won't apply to you because you're not seniors, but just in general, we typically, students take the ASVAB their senior year. So that's something else you can also consider. So if you want to be in the military and college at the same time, you know, find out what those tuition options are, what money is available for tuition. If you're planning to go straight into the workforce, do you want to go full-time versus part-time? So making sure that you have a plan in place so that you can obtain steady employment. Consider taking a business class, so like Microsoft Word, PowerPoint, or Excel, Principles of Business and Finance, especially if you think you might want to own your own business or to gain certifications. Those are the classes that you definitely want to consider enrolling in. Also, college and university as an option. So there are different types of colleges and universities, and so they all may have different requirements. So making sure that you are aware of what those requirements are. On the next slide, there are some timelines here, and I will post these links just for the sake of time. Everyone has a different timeline based off of what your post-secondary options are or choices are. So if you're college bound, there are certain things that you need to be doing your junior year. If you are military bound, there are certain things that you should be doing your junior year. And same thing for if you're employment bound, you need to be focusing on certain things. And so one, we'll share this recording so you'll be able to access those links, but two, we'll also put the links on your junior haiku page so that you can access them as well. CFNC, the College Foundation of North Carolina. If you do not have an account, you should definitely get one, set one up. If you're not sure if you have one, please ask myself or Mrs. Bierman. Do not just go ahead and create an account. Ask us first, because if you already have one, we can just reset your password for you. But CFNC has an array of resources for you guys. And you want to, if you know that you want to go to college, you definitely want to make sure that you get started with CFNC. So those things that matter, like right now, or at least as a junior, you know, exploring your career options. So doing those career interest inventories. If you plan to go to college, your GPA, extracurricular activities, and ACT and SAT scores, and then your course load and the progression of your transcript. The transcript that colleges will see once you begin applying as a senior is this year. So it will show all the way up until your junior year. So now's the year to shine and show out and give it your absolute best so that you maximize your opportunities. Mr. Brown, we'll take the next slide.
All right, good evening, everybody. So I'll talk about financial aid real quick. Overall, financial aid is very important for college and affording college. So it comes in a couple of different forms. There's loans, grants, and scholarships. So there's two types of loans that usually you're going to get from a school or from anywhere else. There's subsidized loans where interest incurs after graduation. So that's after you graduate, and it's usually like 6 to 12 months. The loan would start after that point. And there's unsubsidized loans where as soon as you get the loan paid out, it would start incurring interest at that point. So then there's grants. Grants are typically given from the school or outside sources, and you don't have to pay grants back or anything. They are just money that you, or a form of money that you can use, or it might be it's kind of like a scholarship that you can apply to something. So then there's scholarships. Those are usually you have to apply for those in specific schools. You might see them on the Common App or the specific school's website that you can apply for if you're eligible. Sometimes they have different parameters around it, whether it's the demographics, whether it's a GPA requirement, different things like that. But Me, and I'm sure all the other Miss Bierman and Miss Breaker would be happy to help you all with scholarships. We actually have a scholarship search session tomorrow at 12 p.m. So you guys can come out to that if you're available. Just a quick plug about that. But yeah, scholarships can be very big, and you should try to apply to as many as you can once you get there. It's a little early now, but especially senior year, you want to look into scholarships. So then for the FAFSA, parent information is also required. Go back for a second. So there's some exceptions with independent students and students with children, but you definitely have to work with getting your FSA ID with you and your parent or guardian, so you guys can both have an account and then complete the FAFSA. But this isn't anything you have to worry about now. Is be another year from now for college. And then I think if you go to the next slide, I think that's someone else. Oh, but just for our quick announcements. We do have more college visits on top of the event tomorrow for scholarship session. We have Meredith College and UNC tomorrow, and then we have a college essay writing session workshop on Thursday at 12 p.m. So if you guys want to come out to that, you're welcome to do so.
Thank you, Mr. Brown.
Ms. Bierman?
Oh, sorry, I was muted. So as far as the to-do list, between now and the end of junior year, these are all the things you need to be thinking about. Preparing for and taking the SAT or ACT. Now, I will say a lot of schools are going test optional just because so many test centers have closed over the past few months due to the COVID pandemic. I know I have not given the SAT since March. So, but a lot of schools will take an SAT or ACT score. So if you feel like it is a good indicator of it will benefit you, then I would say go ahead and put that in your application. But just so you know, like if you don't have a score at this point, don't panic. Like a lot of schools are going test optional. And I feel like that movement was already underway before COVID came down, but definitely now a lot of schools are heading more and more in that direction. Meet with your counselor and or Mr. Brown, the college advisor. So especially those of you who want to go to a competitive four-year school, it's very important that you're in the proper classes and you know what kind of GPA and class rank the school that you're hoping to get into is going to be expecting. Begin researching programs and schools of interest. So you want to think about what kind of school you're looking for. Some students tend to be more well-suited to, you know, big public universities that are state funded, that, you know, are going to have a wide variety of majors and all that kind of thing. Some students are more interested in being in a smaller, more intimate setting, and those students might want to consider a private school. So there's all kinds of things you want to think about. You also want to make sure that whatever you want to major in, the schools that you're applying to have a good program for that major. Some schools are doing face-to-face tours, probably not many at this point, but any schools that you're interested in, if you contact them, I'm sure they can give you resources for virtual tours and all that kind of thing. We are having the military fair on November 10th. Yes, November 10th, as Ms. Breaker said, for anyone who is interested in military second step. There's also, you know, like Ms. Breaker was saying, a lot of opportunities for using the military to get money for college. College is very expensive, especially at four-year schools. And I know there are programs out there so that you can get a bachelor's degree and, you know, let the military pay for it. So that is something to keep in mind, especially for students who, you know, want to go to college, have the grades, but maybe just don't have a good way to pay for it. So yeah, I mean, when we say GPA counts, It really is true, especially for this year, because like we were saying earlier, what colleges are going to see on your transcript and are going to have it, in the forefront in their minds is the grades you get this year. Make sure that you're keeping track of all of your honors, awards, activities. And it doesn't even necessarily have to be something school related. Anything that you volunteer for, a lot of students forget about church activities, any kind of volunteer work, especially volunteer work that serves the less fortunate. Those are the kinds of things that colleges and universities are looking for. They want students who are well-rounded and students who are not 100% about me, students who want to be leaders and, are also trying to give back to their community and that kind of thing. So again, the CFNC is super important. There's so many great resources on CFNC. If you're kind of floundering right now and you're like, I think I want to go to college, but I don't really know where to start, CFNC is where you start. There's all kinds of articles. There's career and personality interest inventories, like, it can give you some good information about the things you are good at, where your skills lie, and what you should think about majoring in or doing as a career. All those kinds of things can be found on CFNC. So that's a super place to start. And of course, especially starting next year when you're a senior, apply to scholarships, because, any scholarship that you get is going to be money that you don't have to pay back in loans and all that kind of thing. So definitely want to be on top of all that.
I'm muted. All right. So what we're going to do now is we are going to go out into breakout rooms. So those of you who are on Mrs. Bierman caseload, with last names A through K, some of you are going to be in a breakout room with her. Those of you who are on my caseload, L through Z, some of you will be with me. And then some of you will go to Mr. Brown for college advising and Mrs. Hellner. So I'm going to go ahead and start the breakout rooms, and then I'll give us about 15 minutes or so to discuss some things. You can ask questions in there, and then we will swap you back out so that those of you who were meeting with Mrs. Bierman and myself, you'll go to Mr. Brown. And those of you who are with Mr. Brown, you will come to Mrs. Bierman or myself. Okay? Miss Allen, is there a room that you wanted to go into? Mrs. Hellner has gone in with Mr. Brown.
So I'll be able to go into 2 rooms, right? Because we're gonna switch.
Oh yeah. Uh-huh.
So you can put
It
me
doesn't matter. Okay, I'll put you.
so Brown first, and then
Okay.
you second will be fine.
All right.
I had a parent ask if a parent can be on the Remind, or is it only for
Absolutely. No, parents. Oh no, please, by all means, join.
Okay. And is Miss Ragland's contact information on the junior haiku page?
Let me look. I think it is. I think it is under CCP.
Okay.
But let me make sure. Yes, there is a link to actually schedule a meeting with her.
Oh, perfect.
And I'm glad you mentioned it, because that was something I forgot to mention in my session. To those of you who were in the session with me, I forgot to mention CCP, which is Korean College Promise, and that's an opportunity for you to take college courses and receive high school credit as well as college credit. But we can talk more about that if you have questions about it. I'll be more than happy to go over that with you, since I missed that. All right, so I'm gonna.
We have one more question for Miss Allen, if that's possible. This is the Barnes family. This is in regards to returning to school. We got the email last night. If Adam Reed is scheduled for Monday and he wakes up and has allergies and he has a temperature, non-COVID related, instead of him coming to school, how can he stay home and attend virtually? Is that a policy? to where he just emails his professor or his teacher and stays home and attends virtually, or is he not allowed to attend virtually when it's his scheduled day on campus? Does that make sense?
Miss
All right,
Allen,
you're
you're
on.
muted.
Thank you.
Yes, Mr. Barnes, that makes sense. And yes, he can attend virtually. He would need to email his teachers and our data manager to let her know that he is, experiencing symptoms and he's sick and he cannot attend school on that day, but he's still going to attend the Zoom classes virtually. So yes, that is absolutely fine. And you're exactly right on that guidance that any student that is experiencing any of those symptoms that were outlined in the or the return to school video that's posted on the website, students will not be allowed, to attend school on that day. So you're exactly right. He will stay at home, and if he feels well enough, he can attend the virtual sessions. Any other questions? Okay.
All right, so now I'm gonna move.
Well, I have
I'm
a
gonna
question
switch you guys.
about the bus situation.
I'm sorry, was there another question?
Yes, I had a question about the bus situation.
Yes.
We
Go
were
ahead.
just,
Brandon.
yeah, I'm Brandon's mom. We were just wondering if a parent takes you to school
Mhm.
and drops you off, and then you get the bus to come home, the attestation form, does it still have to be filled out if you're just coming home on the bus?
No, it's only for arriving to school on the bus.
Okay, so if you're a car rider and you're just getting dropped off, you do not have to have an attestation.
You don't have to have one, right? So for all car riders, the students were actually going to be screened in the car. So when you pull up to the circle, there will be someone outside and we will complete the screening process outside with the student in the car. If the student is okay and no symptoms and can answer no to all of the screening questions, then that student will come into the school building and go straight to their first period class.
Okay, all right, thank you.
You are certainly welcome. Thank you for asking. Any other questions?
Yes.
Okay.
Hi, Ms. Allen.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good.
Good. For students that are driving themselves, what are we doing for, I guess, parking passes this year, things like that?
So the parking pass will be $30. It's normally $60, so there'll be a 50% discount this year for parking passes. Students will still park in the student lot. They will need to park every other car in the student lot. So, they see a car. We normally don't assign spaces. So if they see a car parked, they want to make sure they skip a parking space and park in the other. When they come up to the awning in the back, where car drivers and bus drivers enter the building, they will be screened and then they will enter the building. Students will be allowed to pick up a breakfast item if they want breakfast on one of the take and go carts, and then they will report straight to first period.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I have a question.
Yes.
Are we gonna get the parking pass up in the office or online? Or how's that gonna work?
So you will have to pay for the parking pass by either presenting a check or cash to our bookkeeper. And then once you pay for the parking pass, we'll give it to you here at school. We do not have the parking passes ready at this time to actually hand out, but you can go ahead and pay for it and we will put you on the list. And then once you arrive to school, we will, give you the parking pass that day. And again, the parking passes are $30 for car drivers this year. Ashley, did I answer your question?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, all right. Any other questions? And parents, just to share, we sent letters home, we sent an emailed letter to all students on last evening. But we will also be mailing home that information this week. So by the end of the week, you should receive a letter that sort of provides more information for you if your student is reporting back to school under Plan B. And then for those students who are going to remain virtual to the end of the semester, the letter will be different, and it'll just talk about the fact that for virtual students, they will not be returning to school, but just that we will be continuing with our live Zoom sessions at the same time that we are offering those sessions presently.
Breaker?
Yes, ma'am.
Hi, this is Mrs. Logan, Brandon's mom.
Mhm.
I just had a question about if you were choosing to just go to a junior or community college,
Mhm.
or a specific, say, trade school or specific school, do you think a language, 2-year language is required?
It is not required.
It is not. Okay, only if you were going to a 4-year school.
Correct.
Okay. And last year, or before school broke out from COVID, we had made contact with Miss Zana Hunt. Are you familiar with Miss Hunt?
Um,
She works for Voc Rehab.
oh, okay.
Breaker. Yeah.
I was like, no.
Oh, wait,
Yeah,
is
Voc.
that right?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
The Voc Rehab. We have not heard anything from her. And so we still weren't sure if Brandon had an opportunity to be in that program. And if so, that would be something we need to explore, because she said she normally works with those kids during their senior year. But of course, because of COVID, we haven't had any interaction with her at all.
I'm pretty sure I have her email address. I think I can get her in touch with you.
Okay. Okay. All right. I just didn't know if she was still doing that program. And there are opportunities, I think, with that program that you can go to some sort of schooling out, such as like a program that's specific for those students. And it is a type of a college. And again, I didn't know what the requirements were for that type of schooling versus a junior college or community college.
I actually worked for Voc Rehab for a few months before I took this job. So I have a little more insight than maybe the after school counselor. So I know what you're talking about, though. There are post-secondary programs that are offered through those like vocational rehabilitation and those kind of programs. And as far as, specific course requirements, I wouldn't think that would be so much of an issue. Like if your question is, does he need, 2 levels of a foreign language, I would say probably no.
Right. Yeah. I mean, just having everything that's required for high school and, some, of course, his electives and being on point with his grade, he's on grade level. Those are all the things, just the standard requirements would be acceptable for those types of school. Would that be correct?
Yes.
Okay. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. And
No problem.
and then maybe again, I didn't know if that program was still ongoing with COVID or not, or if when we go back to having the Plan B in place, if those type of programs were still going to be going on.
As far as I know, they will. I know that she did come once a week last year to meet specifically with students. And of course, you realize probably under Plan C, which is what we're under right now, no outside visitors are allowed in the school.
I see.
You guys who are parents show up and we don't let you in either.
But they won't be able to come with Plan B either, correct, Ms. Allen?
At this time, no.
Right.
Okay.
Mostly everything still will be virtual. The students will be allowed in the building, but basically in order to maintain the safety protocols, we will not have visitors in the building, just our students and teachers and staff.
Okay.
Were there any other questions? Oh, I'm sorry.
No, go, I was just gonna say, I guess the best way to reach out to her is just by email and see if we can touch base with her about where we're at with Brandon and that program.
Probably.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Was there anyone else who had questions before we close out? Speak now, forever hold your peace. Not forever hold it, but you know. All right, well, if there are no other questions, thank you all for joining us. If you are shy and like me, and you won't know that right now, but I'm really shy. But if you're shy like me and you don't like to ask questions in front of a group, feel free to email them to us and we will get back with you. All right.
All right.
Thank you all.
Thank
Have a good
you.
night.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Have a good night.